Welcome to the 19-9 podcast. Tonight's guest is Justin Bauman. I'm here with Robert Wire, my co-host. Justin has coached for any number of teams. Has got Kansas stories. We actually connected through Danny Manning. So we're going to just take a trip all over the college landscape with him. But I'm going to start you out right here because I was mentioned before we got on air about listening to you on a podcast and you talking about your time with Coach Williams and Coach Self. And I wanted to know right off the bat, when Self stepped in, what was that like? Because I just think there's a couple of coaches this year. You got Hubert Davis stepping in for Coach Williams, ironically, and then you've got Krzyzewski, who's about to step aside. And I just think that is a fascinating thing to have that legendary, iconic coach step aside and have someone try to fill in for them on the other side of that.
Yeah, Aaron, that's a great question. I was lucky. I got really lucky. So I was 3 years with Coach Williams as a manager. And when Coach Self got hired, I'll never forget it. Coach Ben Miller called me. It was on an Easter Sunday and said, hey, we're going to announce a new head coach. I want you to come to the office so you can meet him. And I was just a manager, right? Like, I was probably going to be carrying his gear or his luggage, right? So that's okay. Yeah. But it was funny because me being from Illinois, numerous people going through the Final Four that year, we played Syracuse, got beaten in the national championship with Coach Williams, but going through all that, all my Illinois contacts are like, Bill Self's your next head coach. Bill Self, and I'm like, come on, guys, like, there's no chance. Like, I just didn't see it, right? Mm-hmm. Looking back, it made 100% sense now that I understand the profession, right?
I bet.
But, Coach Self comes in, and I got really lucky because I worked his summer camps. So he had already knew me from working his summer camps in Illinois, and I got really lucky. But it was something where, and I'm sure the guys you just referenced, their staffs are going through the same thing. I mean, college basketball, it's year-round now, right?
No
and
doubt.
Everybody, I mean, even though, John Shire hasn't stepped in for Coach K yet, they are on a crash course to learn what John needs, what he wants, how he operates, even though Coach K is still sitting in the driver's seat. I mean, I watched the game the other night, and it reminded me of Coach Self, quite honestly. Like, Coach K was operating the timeout, but Shire's sitting there doing a lot of talking. And the staff is just so dialed in, and I think that was huge because with Coach Williams, the staff had been there forever. Joe Holliday, Ben Miller. So everyone's like, we know what Roy's going to say. He's going to say his thing. He's going to come to me. What you got? So it's that crash course. But Coach Self, what stood out to me instantly was he, him and Coach Williams, obviously, two completely different styles, unbelievable amounts of success.
Yeah.
Right? And both awesome people that I still speak with to this day, unbelievable human beings, right, that have been great to me, and I appreciate. But, like, Coach Self, he had this charisma about him that, I don't know, man. I mean, like, he knew your name. He knew, he was just so... I could see why he's so successful recruiting so quickly because it seemed like he just met me and he knew everything about me already.
Yeah.
Where Coach Williams was very dialed in too, but Coach Self just had that demeanor about him, and it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. I'm lucky to be a part of it. And it was definitely crazy though. I mean, after Coach Williams was there 15 years.
Man, that's great. Those guys too. I think those two personalities you mentioned are just dynamic. And I know that IU had some kind of idea that we might have gotten Self if things had broken just a little bit differently. He might have been the IU coach that followed. It's right in that pocket.
There's no doubt.
And I still sometimes think like, what could have been. I'm happy that with Woody now, but man, that would have.
No, there's no doubt. I mean, Coach Self was one of those guys. Looking back at it, like I said, I understand I understand it now more that I'm 40 years old, and at that time I was 21, 22, right? Just didn't know what I didn't know, right? But yeah, I mean, Coach Self, even while he was at Illinois, I mean, he's just always, you could tell he's one of those guys that he's going to be in a storied program, like you say, with IU, Kansas, UCLA, North Carolina. He's going to be in one of those programs. You could just tell as a matter of time.
No doubt.
So when he came in, how much different was it, like recruiting, like from Williams to Self? Like, were they both like visit the players as much? Like when I hear stories like about Bob Knight, like he didn't really travel that much, but when he did go, it meant a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like, did Williams go a lot?
Yeah, I would say the similarities were they both had no problem being on a 6 a.m. flight, a red-eye flight, getting done with practice at 6, being in the car till 8 to visit a kid or watch a game and being back the next morning. They both, burnt the wick at both ends, I would say probably the biggest difference for me, what I noticed was Coach Self was constantly trying to stay in front of you, whether it be phone call, at that time mail, now it's text, right, or social media. But at that time it was hard mail. Like we sent a mail out every day to a recruit. I mean, every day. We used to have piles, and that's when now I get on here, I can send 10 messages and like that with social media and whatnot, right? But
just make sure you're keeping count on those.
Yeah. But you know what I'm saying? Like that was probably the biggest difference. Coach Self constantly, as a recruit, when you woke up, he wanted you to see his face. When you went to sleep, he wanted you to see his face. When you ate, he constantly wanted Bill Self Kansas basketball right in front of you. Where Coach Williams, we might send a mail out maybe once a week. Or whatever. So that was a lot different. I remember we were rolling through stationery and cardstock and stuff like that. And the other thing, Coach Self was probably ahead of his time, quite honestly, because the other thing that really ramped up was highlight videos, right? Like Coach Williams, we didn't have a lot of highlight videos and stuff. It was just kind of, quite honestly, I think we might have had maybe 2 or 3. With Coach Williams. Coach Self came in, man. We had highlight videos with the guards, the wings, the bigs, the history of the program, the campus. It went up a whole nother level.
That's awesome. Let's get into your origin story a little bit. Like, what did this time of year mean to you? Because we've been talking about, we're still at the start of the basketball season. I think it's always interesting to hear about people who are involved in basketball, what the start of the season means to them. And how the heck did you end up as a director of basketball ops? That's kind of an interesting title to hold. Yeah, well, it's funny,
I'll go with how I ended up as a director of ops, and then I'll tell you what this time of year means for me. Being, as a director of ops, I obviously 3 years, 2002 to 2003 with Coach Williams, 2003 to 2006 with Coach Self. Before that, I played 1 year junior college ball at Lincoln College for B.J. McCollum. Great coach. We won. He's got a ton of wins, so I was kind of on that track, just being around winning. And one of my goals the whole time growing up was to go to Kansas. I had a great aunt and uncle that I lived with in Lawrence during some time, and I just wanted to go to Kansas. So I transferred to KU, walked on. I ended up getting cut. Still something to this day, unbelievable tryout. It was like a 5-day tryout, like 70 kids, and I ended up getting cut, but unbelievable life experience. And then they needed someone to film practices. So I'm like, all right. So I got a lot of hours in the top of Allen Fieldhouse,
Is this like old school camcorder? Like you're handed, we got some actual tape involved?
No doubt. VHS.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Right? So, heck, now, not to get off topic, now they got cameras that they just follow the movement and player track. And I'd never have to sit up there. But anyway, so I had great experiences in that basketball program for 6 years. That's how I met Danny. I didn't know Rex at all. But when I graduated with my master's degree, man, I was on a hunt. I applied so many jobs, and Rex Walters was, he hired me at Florida Atlantic as a director of operations. Had no clue what I was doing. Made $15,000 a year, and was
wait. 15. That was the salary. That was the salary. Did they let you eat at the players' table at least? Or
There's no doubt. Hey, a lot of player leftovers went to this.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Did you get room and board too with that?
No room and board. Had to find
my god! Sleeping in the car.
Yeah.
Oh, it was nuts. But Rex took great care of me. I wouldn't have done it. I mean, I didn't know Rex at all, but he was magnificent in the interview. And he took great care of me, made sure I was okay. Danny did things for me too, while I was there and, earning my stripes. And that's how I became a director of ops. And, that job entails so much. Right now, it's interesting for me because obviously I'm not in the profession right now, but it's I still have that itch, right? Like I got all my ESPN alerts set up. I was just watching Ohio State and Xavier.
Wait. Let's pause there because we've got a little betting thing with Robert and I where we play a weekly pickup game, and one of us is going to have to wear real short shorts in the game. Whoever makes the most picks. So who you got in this game? Let's see who you got in the Ohio State Xavier game.
Oh, you know what? I got to take Ohio State.
Oh, yes. That's what I got. I'm a shoo-in. He's going to be wearing some shorty shorts.
Last week I made the mistake of taking the road teams.
Yeah, he took.
So this week I went with the home teams.
I'm 2-0 already.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. You guys can have fun. Yeah, so, great experiences. And, this time of year, like I said, I'm not in the profession, but, I'm constantly studying ball and, talking to many of my colleagues. Ryan Humphrey at Notre Dame's a close friend. Obviously, Danny, Rex, just many different guys that I'm really close with, staying, around it, trying to help as much as I can. But this is the best time of year, right? Like, unfortunately, Maryland, was upset by George Mason. Brown the other night. I love the Carolina program. Obviously, there are a lot of ties there still because of Coach Williams. But Brown deserved to win that game a few nights ago.
Yeah. That's
it's crazy right now. It's crazy. I think the interesting part is, and I'm sure we'll talk about it later on, but all these guys these programs that say they're low and mid majors, man, Like, I know Maryland plays Hofstra, on Friday night. And they got 4 high major transfers. Yeah. Don't sleep on them, right? Like, they're going to play. They can play, And so that's kind of fun, right? Probably for you guys, myself, general fans right now that, hey, college basketball is evening out a little bit.
I think so. I think that we've talked a lot about there's always downsides to the transfer portal too. Maybe you don't know the players as much, but there is kind of that need now for so many schools to coalesce that you're going to have that kind of uncertainty or randomness to the start of the season where it's like the coaches probably don't even know what's coming. And what would be your approach? Like if you had a whole new team, like what did you guys do to bring the team together? If you had like a big senior class and turned it over, like were there?
So I was fortunate to go through that obviously at KU with Rex when we were at San Francisco, and then Danny, when we took the job at Tulsa, right? And we did so much team building stuff. I think we spent as much time off the court as a group than we did on the court. And that's so important because the quicker you can come together as a cohesive unit, the better off you're going to be. But even more importantly, there has to be a consistency daily from the staff in terms of role definement. The quicker the players, you can, as a staff, can identify the players' roles. And as a staff, you can consistently enforce those items, better off you're going to be.
Yeah.
So one of the things that I think about with the transfer portal is these teams are building these players up to try to get them right.
Yeah.
So but when they get them, then they left from the other teams. So what if they don't live up to the hype? Like then they become a locker room, distraction because they're upset because you told them that they were going to get a play and they haven't shown up, and you know what I mean?
Yeah, no doubt. No, that's a great question. I mean, I look at a team like Hofstra right now, and I say Hofstra because I watched them play Iona the other night, and I watched them play Houston. They should have beat Houston, right? Yeah. And obviously Kelvin Sampson's teams are so tough, and he does such a good job. But you got Speedy Claxton here, new head coach, right? Yeah. 4 high major Division I transfers. His guard Zach Cook is I think he averaged 29 in 2 games last week.
Yeah.
But now you got Jalen Ray coming back. Jalen Ray, he's preseason player of the league. What happens if Jalen ain't? You know what I mean? So, Robert,
who gets the ball?
Yeah, Robert, I completely agree with you. That's a major risk, and I think the best way to coach that is you got to be transparent right on the front end. And you really in recruiting today, your number one priority is you got to be an unbelievable investigator. Because like you said, Robert, if you get one of those high major transfers and he's not getting the touches or you know what I mean? Or he's not getting what he thinks he deserves. That can have such a detrimental effect, And then you're excited, man. I got this guy from Iowa State. Da 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 da. Yeah, and it's not helping you.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. What would be your approach? Do you think if you're in it? Because I have been fascinated with trying to figure out if I'm coaching, just doing a hypothetical. Would I look more for transfers? Because you could think of it 2 ways where so much of the focus has been like, can I get the biggest 5-star recruit or even starting with players when they're freshmen or sophomores, building those relationships. But you don't know even with those guys if they're going to pan out. If you just went with the recruiting pool, you at least have some known quantity. Player X, Y, or Z can do this at the college level. And it's just more of a known quantity. Maybe they don't have as big a potential, but you also have more certainty there. So it'd be such a hard balance to try to think about, like, do I invest all this time in a guy that may or may not come and may or may not pan out to be the player I think he is, or should I invest more in trying to look for guys who might be interested in transferring and risk the kind of the locker room, situation you guys talk about.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. I mean, it's the type of thing. It's obviously it all depends on where you're at, right? I mean, if you're at a place and you got to win now, unfortunately, you're probably going to go the transfer portal route. Yeah. But it's such a balance. I mean, gosh dang, I mean, I can't. I'm not in it right now, obviously, like I said, but. If I was, I would definitely be, talking to the head coach like, hey, I think you got to balance it out. I think, because just like you said a second ago, Robert, you could get that high major transfer or whatever, and he might be gone in a year, Then what? You're back to square one. You got to have some other guys on the roster that can help you out over time, even though all 3 of us know the years of having a player for 4 years is highly unlikely, right? Yeah. Like we all know that, right? That's very clear. Look at the numbers, look at the, the facts and, the information out there today. But, I just think you got to do your best to try and have a balance. But man, it's, hey, there's a reason those head coaches get paid very well to figure those things out.
That's right. They get compensated.
There you go.
Worries.
Well, we got to throw this in here. 19.9 recently added the Kansas quarter zips. You might need to get one of those. It's from the 2002 and 2003 season when you met Danny. They're pretty sweet.
Yeah, I did. I checked out your stuff. It really makes me feel old, right?
I know, right? Oh man.
Because I'm like,
we are old, man. That's
I feel the best part is if I walked in my closet right now, I probably got the original.
Oh, nice. Oh. Yeah, you need to break that out. We've been on with a couple of guys, and they broke out their Letterman jacket, like Jason Andreas, Michigan. He was on Michigan State's 2000.
Oh, that's awesome.
High school Letterman's jacket, and then we had Minu Timberlake from Kentucky, and he had his De La Salle with the state championship patches on there. I was like, oh man, that's a Letterman's jacket right there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. But you guys, 19.9, you guys, I mean, it's when you hit me up, I was familiar with it already. You know what I'm saying? Like just being, I love gear,
Yeah.
and I worked for two guys in Rex and Danny. I mean, they're gear dudes, right? Like they love gear, right? So I was really familiar. I was pumped, man. I was like, oh, I haven't been on the website lately. I got to check this out.
Nice. Well, let's take us back to that kind of 2002, 2003 run, because I actually like have an amazing memory of IU on that 2002 run. I even got tickets to the championship game from a Kansas fan because they lost that Final Four night.
Yeah.
But it was such a special team, and I just wonder what are your memories? What are your favorite memories from that time?
You know, probably my best memory, quite honestly. And we were just talking about it, right, about team chemistry and bringing in players and stuff. But still to this day, that entire team still talks to one another. Like, it's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, Aaron Miles, Mike Lee, Wayne Simeon, Nick Collison, Kirk Heinrich. You know what I mean? That's, you know, you got Jeff Graves, Bryant Nash. I mean, you just going down the list. But I mean, I keep up with a lot of them still. I'm really fortunate that I've got great relationships with them. Mike Lee and I worked together for a few years at San Francisco. You know, Aaron Miles now with the Celtics. You know, I keep up with him. And Nick Collison, you know, he's with the Thunder, but he still has a home here in Kansas City and stuff. Cool. So I'm fortunate. But that's probably the thing that stands out to me. But going back thinking, you know, about that year, I mean, it was, you know, we got beat in 2002. Yeah. Right, and this is just my observation, right? I'm just a student manager, but you know, we get beat in 2002, and that year was phenomenal, right? We averaged like 110 points a game. Drew Gooden leaves. I mean, it's just loaded, right? 16-0 in the Big 12. I don't think that'll ever. I might be biased, but I don't think anyone will ever go undefeated in the Big 12 again. Right.
Yeah, that's all right. That's all right. We're biased. We're IU fans. So that's 76. That's 76 team. I'm wearing the St. John's today.
I saw that.
It's like a pelt for the win last night. You know.
You know. But the thing that stands out to me when that group came back, you know, in 2003 after Drew had left and stuff, it was like there was such a determination and focus. I don't know if I've ever. In 20 years, I was been in the high major level. I don't know if I've ever seen a group as focused as that. I mean, I'm talking locked in every day, unbelievable effort. I mean, I'd love for you guys to ask Coach Williams that question, right? Because I'd be surprised if Coach Williams didn't say that's one of the toughest, you know, most focused, determined teams he's ever coached. I mean, it was like they had a chip on their shoulder, right? Like, man, we got beat by Maryland. Now Maryland's loaded. Juan Dixon, Lonnie Baxter. Right?
They were loaded.
Loaded, right? But that group, just the focus, I mean, it was phenomenal. You know, it was phenomenal. Something I'd love to be a part of again, but I don't know if I will.
Yeah. Going back to the chemistry thing, we talked about this in a couple podcasts a while back, but with this new NIL, like, how do you think that affects the locker room? Because, you know, you're going to have some guys that are going to get bigger deals than other guys.
Yep.
That have maybe the guys that don't get the big deal, maybe the guys that are the 4-year guys or the 5-year guys. Then you got the young gun that comes in and gets a good deal, right? And then maybe he isn't living up or he ain't practicing hard because he got the money. You know, got to his head. You know, I just think that could be another chemistry thing to where people are going to be fighting in the locker room. You know, like, you got to work harder. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, no, I agree with you. I mean, that's, you know, it's so funny. We talk about, you know, head coaches and we're talking about the differences. And like I just said, Coach Self was ahead of his time, I think, in recruiting and video and contact and stuff, right? And, you know, Coach Williams, he always said, it stands out to me to this day, to be a great basketball coach, you probably should have gotten a bachelor or a master's in psychology. Right? Like, and how true is that right now? Oh, yeah. Because of what you just said, Robert. You know what I mean? Like, coaches, I'm sure coaches are dealing with that. I mean, I've often thought, how's Nick Saban? You know what I mean? Like, how's he handling that, right? Like,
Doc Rivers is wishing
Doc
he had a
Rivers
master's in psychology right now.
Yeah, no doubt, right? But no doubt. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, it's such a balance. I mean, you guys read these same stories I do. I'm sure the kid that gets a deal from Wendy's for NIL, and he's one of the few on the team, and then he gets in trouble off the court. I'm sure there's a certain level of animosity there, right, within the locker room that's like, man, I deserve that, and this dude just went out and did this. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure, Robert, I don't know if there's a good answer to that, man, but it's definitely, I think, thrown a wrench in college basketball, college football, across the board. I mean, I was just talking to a guy the other day that he was like, yeah, we're really lucky. We got a dealer here in town that is willing to give our guys cars for NIL, right? And I said, well, hold on a second. There's no chance that dealer's giving 13 to 15 cars.
Yeah, no way.
I don't even think dealers have 13 to 15 cars
that's
now.
true.
Like with the shortages.
That's true, too.
He'd be walking to his own dealership.
That's true, too, Aaron. But it's funny because, how do you handle that, right? I mean, they're kids. They're 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kids. And with the way kids are, today in terms of, like I said, with social media and kind of that what do you have, I don't, keeping up with the Joneses type thing, I mean, it's difficult. And unfortunately, I do think it's here to stay. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. It's just going to be really interesting how it plays out over the next few years.
I want to skip back to University of San Francisco a little bit, just because I think that a lot of people probably don't realize like what a historic university that is for basketball. With Bill Russell and up through the 80s, before they gave themselves kind of self-imposed the death penalty on their program, they were absolutely like one of the blue bloods of college basketball. So did you know like the history, or how'd you end up there? And then following up, like what was it like out there?
So while I'm sitting on my couch making $15,000 a year in Boca Raton, Florida, right?
Driving a golf cart.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I had a bicycle, to be honest. I rode a bicycle everywhere. I hope Rex listens to this because Rex will be dying laughing. Rex called me on a weekend night, and I was actually at that time my girlfriend, now my wife, her house, and I knew something was going on. And Rex said we're going to San Francisco, and I knew it was in a great league, but I didn't really know a lot about it. I was just fortunate to be able to keep my job, and I was excited, But when I got there, man, I mean, Aaron, you're right. Like Casey Jones, Bill Cartwright, I mean, 2 national championships and correct me on this, like 55, 56, something like that.
Yep.
I mean, unbelievable history, and it was unique because it sits in the city, right? I'd never experienced anything like that, and really cool program, and that's how I got there, and when we got there, it was such a weird deal. I don't know if you guys remember this, but at that time, the school had hired Eddie Sutton to coach just the last few months. And he ended up getting like his historical win there. So he coached like a few months. They terminated Jesse Evans. They hired Eddie Sutton to coach like the last few months. Wow. And so the program was really unstable. Yeah. It was really unstable. And I definitely felt like in my 4 years there and then over Rex's time, he put it, back on a very, very solid path. I mean, still one, I think, we beat Gonzaga when they were number 3 or, top 5 in the country. I mean, we had great wins and stuff. And, but you guys, in that league, it's always Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and now BYU, but unbelievably, an unbelievable, historical program. Unfortunately, Russell didn't come around much. But we did go a few times and listen to him speak. Casey Jones would come around. Bill Cartwright, I think he's in the department there now, actually. Bill Cartwright is. But yeah, pretty cool program. People don't realize that, but pretty cool program.
Tell us a little bit out when you were at Tulsa about it.
Man, Tulsa, that's still that place. It's probably still the best outside of Kansas. It's by far the best in terms of I've ever been at in terms of support. That city, the administration, the school. I mean, there's a reason, Bill Self. I mean, I can't even think of. I mean, they've had so many coaches, right? I mean, it's kind of been the gateway for guys.
Yeah.
And you could see really quick when we got there, when Danny hired me and I got there with him, the reason that, I mean, even Coach Wojcik that was there before us, I think he had it was something like 8 or 10 consecutive 20-win seasons, right?
That's awesome. That's amazing.
That's hard, right?
Yeah.
And, I mean, you could just see it, right? I mean, they were going to do whatever they could to help you win, and we were lucky. We got some great kids that bought in really quick. I mean, now they're pros. Shaq Harrison, Shaquille Harrison, and James Woodard, and Dre Wright, and TK Adoji. I mean, all those guys. Tim Pete. I mean, they just did a phenomenal job of buying into what Coach wanted, and we were able to, put together a great run there in 2 years. The crazy part is no one remembers this. Obviously, we do as coaches. But that second year, we started out 0-6.
Oh, wow.
That second year.
Wait. So what are you guys hitting the panic meter? How are you?
Coach Manning, first off, I don't know if Coach Manning has a panic meter.
Yeah, well, he doesn't. He's like, okay, guys, let me bring it here. And you guys are freaking out.
Yeah. I mean, you guys interviewed Danny. You know how he is. Coaches. That's one of his best attributes, right? Is he's just so mild mannered.
Okay, so how did he calm you guys down then?
I mean, seriously, he probably much like he was as a player. You know what I mean? His daily demeanor. I mean, the way he approaches the guys. We're gonna be all right, man. We're gonna be all right. Everything's gonna be okay. But yeah, we started out 0-6. I mean, we went to Wichita State. That's when they had Ron Baker.
Oh yeah,
I mean, they were loaded.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And we got beat by 20. And then it was after that game, everything just turned. I mean, I think we reeled off 12 or 13 straight.
Wow, that's
got made to the tournament and got beat by UCLA. And I mean, UCLA was really good. At that time, obviously, I think Zach LaVine and I mean I can't remember who else they had, but they had I think 3 or 4 pros.
Yeah.
And but that's Robert, that's what stands out to me about that place is and we had a great athletic director, Ross Parmley. He hired Coach Manning, and Ross, was just willing to do anything he could to help the success of the program, and then that transferred on to Derek Gregg, and Derek did a great job too.
What's it like leaving a school? Because you guys go from you talked about going out to San Francisco, and then you end up going to Wake Forest at some point. What's it like for the coaches? Because you hear a lot about, we're talking now more about the transfer portal, but that's been a part of college basketball forever, is that the coaches leave. I mean, part of the game is moving up or moving laterally and looking at the landscape of recruiting and, who's got what sections of the country and knowing where your strengths are. And it all plays into it. But I imagine that's got to be tough. But what's it like from the first person point of view?
Yeah, I mean, it is very tough. I mean, I'll never forget, Florida Atlantic to San Francisco. That was really difficult because, Carlos Monroe and Sean Alarcon and, that whole group, DeAndre Rice, they were such a great group, right? They gave Rex a chance, and they were the first kids I worked with.
Yeah.
So
you had to ride your bike out to San Francisco too. So.
That's true. Hey, the bike helped, man. See, this was all planned. The bike helped, because you don't want a car in San Francisco, so the bike helped by the time I got to the city.
That's right.
But yeah, it was, that was difficult. It's always difficult when you got to walk in the locker room and tell the guys, especially probably the hardest one was definitely Tulsa. Because that group, we had only been with them 2 years. They came together so well. They were such great kids. Obviously it's the first team Danny had. That was really difficult. But and probably the hardest part, as you guys know, it's hard to, I guess you'd say, keep it under wraps until a decision's made.
Yeah. Because
the media and everyone is, everyone's trying to figure out where's he going, what's happening. It's so fast. So that was hard, but thankfully today, it's really cool. Coach Manning, when we were let go, at Wake Forest, the Tulsa team actually had a Zoom call with Coach Manning, which was absolutely awesome. That was absolutely awesome because, those guys, he left those guys, right? But here he is, coach is struggling, and the whole team. I mean, every guy got back on a Zoom call and was like, Coach, man, how you doing? And they started telling stories of Coach Manning and stuff. So you still always have the player relationships if you do things the right way, but it's never easy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, you got to work with John Collins. What was it like working with him? And would you say he was the best player that you worked with, or who would you say the best player you worked with was?
Wow,
Robert we're just going right at it. Robert, look at my guy. He's upset that he's going to have to wear shorts tomorrow to play. He's so upset.
I'll just say, name some of the, how about this? I'll rephrase it. Name some of the best players that you worked with. Some of them. How about that? Is that better?
Hey, it's all good. I've got no problem.
He is good.
I've got no problem. John Collins is probably the quickest guy I've been around, and helped with, that went from being, ranked mid to up 300s in recruiting.
Wow, I didn't know.
Comes in, like 3-star, comes into Wake Forest, and over 2 years, this dude just, unbelievable work ethic, absorbs everything, unbelievably coachable. Like, he's probably been the best I've ever been around Kirk Heinrich.
Huh. I love it. Former Bull.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, Kirk was every day was a pro. I mean, every day he came in the gym, he had the same shooting routine. He had the same, his routine was professional. In my entire 4 years with him, he was locked in all the time. So in terms of the best on and off, I'd say Kirk, but John Collins, that dude, I'll never forget. We were on a flight to, I think we're actually going to Notre Dame, and it was his sophomore year. And I was close with John because John actually played for Tavares Harris that Rex and I coached at Florida Atlantic.
Oh, wow, okay.
So there was that connection there, right? It helped us, obviously, getting John to Wake Forest, Mm-hmm. And I'll never forget, I went back and we were on the plane and there was a lot of rumblings about, John and the draft and stuff. And I go back on the plane, he's sitting in the exit row, and I said, JC, what's up, man? And he's like, not much, JB. And I could tell he was stressed, and I was like, you thinking a lot about the next level and professionally? And he's like, man, I can't stop thinking about it, wow. And I knew right then that we were going to have I was like, man, we could be in trouble here because this dude can go. Yeah. Right? But JC was a great kid, and I'm fortunate that we still text and stuff, and he's having a great career, and his mom's a sweetheart, and they're really good people.
That's awesome. Well, tell us a little more about Wake Forest then. Like, what was it like getting? Because that's now you're in the ACC. You're on Tobacco Row, legendary, school, and just you're playing legendary coaches and schools every night. What was it like to step up to that level? Because that's the pinnacle, right? Like, when you're thinking about coaching, like, I'd like to coach in the ACC or the Big Ten.
Oh yeah, no doubt. It's funny too. The first thing that stood out to me, and you guys know this, is, it's a pro league. Bottom line, like, I know the Big 12 is, I know the SEC is. I get that, but going from Conference USA to the ACC was like, we better get some dudes.
Yeah.
And then the crazy part is once you feel like you got some dudes, you better get some more dudes.
Yeah.
Because Duke and Carolina and Louisville, Syracuse, Virginia, you just go down to Notre Dame, you just go down the list. It's nuts. And it was a great experience. I learned so much in my 6 years there, and the people at Wake Forest were good to me, and obviously, it was disappointing how it ended, but it was phenomenal in terms of, looking down the sideline and you see Coach K, right? Looking down the sideline, you see Coach Williams, and, one of the coolest places, Syracuse, playing in the Dome. I mean, it's like you're walking into an NCAA tournament game. That's awesome. And so I'm fortunate to have those experiences, and maybe someday we'll get back there. We'll see what happens, but really cool. And it's the type of league where everyone says they got the best league, right? I mean, you could be in the Valley, and the head, man, we're in the best league. I mean, every head coach says it. You guys know this. It's a sales pitch. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You want to come play in the Valley? You want to come play conference? I mean, every coach says it. You know what I'm saying? But I am probably, maybe it's because I've been in it, but I do feel the ACC night in and night out. I mean, it's a monster, and I know a lot of coaches could say that. And it'll be interesting, fellas. I mean, you got a kind of changing of the guard, right?
Changing landscape. I'm wondering. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm really wondering. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and with the NIL stuff, you never know how that's going to shake out with different areas of the country.
Absolutely. I got a question for you all. When's Coach Boeheim retire?
How many wins does he need to get to pass Coach K? Because that's the question. When he's calculating that out, like, okay, Coach K's gone up to this year. How many do I need to average, and how many years is that? So I think that's it.
I know, man. Coach Boeheim, and it's funny. I mean, out of my 6 years there, every time you play him, like, I swear, I don't think the dude aged.
I know.
No,
looks the exact same.
And that same thing, 2-3 zone that just tortures.
Oh, and I don't care how much you try to attack it, it's still unbelievably difficult to break.
I'm still tortured by that 13 IU team that was just loaded and goes up against that 2-3 zone. It looks like they've never played against one in their whole lives. I'm like, come on, guys.
Think about that. I mean, think about all the years he's been coaching.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm telling you, when you play them, they are not changing in defense.
No.
They could be down 20. They're going to play 2-3.
This is it. Yeah.
This is it.
They're just trying to get better for the next game.
Like, he is like,
there you go.
He is college basketball bedrock at this point. Yeah. He is in the old Big East. Just wars through there. I mean, now and the ACC. Like, that guy has. Talk about stories.
No doubt, fellas, no doubt.
All right, got some quick hitters for you as we start to wrap up here.
Okay.
Let's start out with what's your morning routine like while you're coaching? I'd like to just see how you approach the day.
Oh man, 4:45 a.m. wake up.
Coffee, I hope.
Yep. I still keep it. At least 45 minutes to an hour workout, and I love it because if any of the former players listen to this, or Mike Lee, or any of those guys, man, you don't look like you working out. So I already know what they're going to come with right now.
They don't know about getting old.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I already know what they're going to say. Yeah. And then, obviously, I am spiritual, some type of scripture, to embrace the Lord, and definitely love taking my daughter to school and being around my daughter and then start my day like that. My daughter and my wife, and roll like that. And awesome. I'm all about consistency, big on consistency.
All right. What's your favorite coaching motto that you had, or favorite coaching motto that you heard along the way? Because they've always got those little mottos or sayings.
Oh, yeah. MTXE.
Okay.
All right. Okay. So let's try this real quick. I know we're wrapping up, but let's try it.
No, you got plenty of time.
Okay. So what do we got? What do we think the M is?
What was it? MTXE.
Motivation.
Determination.
No.
Mental. Okay. What's the T?
Is determination.
Toughness.
There we go, Aaron. Okay, Aaron. Robert, man, you're looking at these short shorts really clear right now. Okay.
We're gonna start adding stuff on now. He's gonna be wearing some spandex soon.
Yeah. So MTXE, taught by my high school coach Mike Sorrell. Mental toughness, extra effort.
He changed it up on there with the.
Yeah, X. He did. He changed it up. Yep, he changed it up.
That looked good on a shirt. I don't know.
It would.
Talk to Josh about that. We'll get you cut in NIL deal of your own.
There you go.
Love it. All right, take Allen Fieldhouse off the table. What's the coolest arena
why you got to take it off the table?
Because besides everybody's going to say, "Oh, Allen Fieldhouse." Yes, we know Allen Fieldhouse is amazing. What else besides that? What's the coolest arena you were in, or got a chance to coach against a team in, or
the Kennel, Gonzaga?
Ooh, okay. I haven't heard that one before.
Man,
What's it like?
Go to YouTube and YouTube it. I'm dead serious. Go to YouTube and YouTube it. Unbelievable, man. I mean, they pack it in there. Coach Few's got it rolling. You know, I mean, the whole staff, great people. But they put the students around the court, and the fans sit behind.
That's nice. Yeah.
But the best part is the students can't sit. So there's no bleachers. It's just platforms.
It's just that.
That's crazy.
Wow.
So you stand. But I'm telling you, I'm gonna send you guys a YouTube link. Evan Manning, Coach Manning's son, is on staff.
Yeah, we talked about that with it.
And so it's funny because when they played Texas the other night, I was watching it on TV, and you know, because of COVID, Evan's just now kind of experiencing that, right?
Yeah, no kidding.
And I've gotten to experience it 4 years at San Francisco, and I texted him. I'm like, dude, the hidden gem. Yeah, it's a great place.
I love it.
That's pretty awesome.
Well, that might be the follow-up then. Craziest opposing fans. Is it going to be them?
You guys might think I'm crazy. I mean, BYU.
Wow.
Really? That's a surprise.
Okay.
BYU, man, walking into the
They're
gym.
supposed to be the nicest out there.
Not even close. Not even close. I remember we were at San Francisco playing there, and it had snowed, and we're getting off the bus, and you got students throwing snowballs at us and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, man.
It's crazy. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Honorious fans, BYU.
Okay, let's go to Wake Forest. Team you most enjoyed beating?
Man, that's a good one. Probably Miami. Yeah.
I thought it'd been like Duke or North Carolina.
Miami.
Yeah, I mean, you know, you could say Duke and North Carolina. I mean, those are kind of the giveaways. But I say Miami because we probably went head-to-head with them in recruiting more than anyone.
Okay.
So that was kind of the one. And so it was one of those things like, all right, man, we know you're negative recruiting us. We know you're talking about us, right? Like, stop it. When you see us in person, you're a boy, right? Like, we know you're talking about us, you know? So when you beat them, it, you know, had a little extra, feel about it.
Little side game within the game, right?
Yep.
Love it. Okay, team you least enjoyed playing?
Syracuse.
I knew it before he said it.
Dude, the zone is a monster.
Yeah. Going into that dome, too, is just ridiculous. We just had one of their sports writers. He's been writing for them for the last 30 years, Mike Walters. And he's talking about that dome the first time he walks in because he's actually from Kentucky. And so he's coming in there and like, they play basketball in this place? Because it's so bizarre.
Dude, if you guys ever get a chance to go watch a game there, you need to go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy. You know, they play football in there. There was one time we played in there, and they like had to flip it from the from a football game.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, it's the court is so tiny, and they sell it out.
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna get 25,000, 30,000 people in there. It's crazy.
Jeez.
It's crazy.
Okay, most impressive opponent. So this is like the guy that just amazed you playing against them. Like, man, that guy is unreal.
Oh man. Probably KD, Kevin Durant.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah,
That's a good one. I didn't realize you saw that.
Yeah, he could do it all. I mean,
yeah.
KD.
Wow. What do you do? What do they do when they're in the huddle and try to stop him?
Hey man, he
said he's spiritual, Robert. You know what he did.
Hey, you know what the best part is? I'm going to give you a D Manning right now. Yeah. Hey man, good shot. Run back down. You ain't doing nothing.
Yeah. You got to get the scripture out for that.
Yeah, he's going to come back down and he's going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
Did Coach Manning give you any stories of the players like Jordan or Bird that would tell you what they're going to do before they do it?
No, he didn't. No, we're going to have to get him back on. I try to just stick with NCAA because if I get off on the NBA topic, then I would go forever on that too. And
he's got some great
stories.
stories.
NCAA a little bit the first time I talked to him because he's got so many great stories there.
Yeah,
too,
that's funny.
I bet 15 years in the NBA, man, and he
he's
about bridging generations. Like he really hit like some real generations in the NBA.
Yeah, he used to. I mean, he would tell the team stories. You know, like Larry and Michael, they would come down and, hey man, I'm gonna dribble twice to my left, cross over, and pull up. Like, what are you gonna do?
That's it.
That'd be so hard to take.
Jog
though,
down
wouldn't it?
like you knew you were gonna stop him.
Exactly.
I'll get him next time, Coach.
Exactly.
I love it. All right, we're going to wrap up with this. We had Danny do this too. This is our name, image, likeness draft. So we're going to do Wake Forest. And it can be all Wake Forest history. But what are the top 5 players you would draft? And you can take guys that you guys had on the team too. But thinking of NIL, so it gives a little different lens. Like we had Charlie Miller on, and he took himself first, and then he took Andre Patterson because he could sing, and he's going to market his singing career. So you can go any direction. Then Danny takes Wilt, of course. I'm like, come on, Danny, Wilt Chamberlain. I should have took him off the board.
Oh, that's awesome. So they have to be Wake Forest players, or just any player?
You can do. I mean.
I'll do Wake Forest.
You've been all over the place, so I was like, you can do Kansas if that's easier. You can do Wake Forest.
Okay, well, if I can do a mixture. Okay, here we go.
Okay.
Shaquille Harrison.
Oh, I like it. Yes.
Because he's an unbelievable piano. He can play the piano.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. Like let's see here. You guys probably, I don't know if you know him, Markel Curtis.
Okay.
From Tulsa.
Okay.
Because he's an unbelievable singer.
Yes.
Right?
I like where he's going with this.
This is the best part. Like you're like, it's not all about like basketball.
No, man. Hey, if I'm paying for NIL, I want the dude that's going to bring the whole package.
Yeah, he's on that app where they sing you your happy birthday thing. And he's making bank on there.
Yep. John Collins, just because it's just JC's got unbelievable athleticism and person and and everything. So I got Markel, Shaq, John Collins. Oh man, I'm trying to think of who else. Mike Lee, and I only say Mike Lee from Kansas, obviously, because Mike Lee's got the biggest teeth. So he's got a big smile. He got a big old smile.
Okay.
Right. So you could put him on
now
the billboard.
Now you're getting back at him because he's going to make fun of you for not
working out. Yeah, exactly. I want him out. Yep. And my last guy would probably be Aaron Miles because he's one of the cheapest people I've ever been around, and he can teach people how to save money.
Nice. Yes, he's working for the banking apps.
Yeah, exactly.
I love it. Robin Hood.
Exactly.
Awesome, man.
But no, great dudes, man. Great times.
I love it. Well, we so appreciate you coming on. I hope you come on again too. Now that we've made contact, and we'll get some more stories or find a way to just wrap. Yeah,
we need to do like a preseason college basketball NBA update.
Okay,
there you go.
That'd be fun.
We'll get you back on, and I'll reach out to you. That'd be great.
All right, man. I appreciate you guys. Thanks, Robert. Thanks, Aaron.
All right, man. Take care.
Hey, Aaron, one thing before we get off, man. Hey, make sure we get some pics on social media of Robert wearing his short shorts.
Hey, don't worry.
It ain't over yet.
That's why he dropped his phone a little while ago. I wonder what that Xavier Ohio State score was.
I didn't see it.
All right. Appreciate you, fellas.
Yep. Hey, man, that was great.
Yeah,
appreciate it.